The movie begins with Dominika Igorova, a celebrated ballet dancer at the renowned Bolshoi Theater in Moscow. She starts her day by making tea for her ailing mother, Nina, who is bedridden and requires constant care. They live in a Bolshoi-provided apartment in modern-day Russia. After taking Nina to her routine doctor's appointment, Dominika leaves her in the care of their housekeeper, Lenny, and heads to the theater for her performance. At the Bolshoi, Dominika prepares for her role as the lead dancer in the evening show. The audience, comprising Moscow's elite, includes her uncle, Ivan Vanya, who introduces her to Dmitry Ustinov, a powerful gangster turned politician. Shortly after, Dominika delivers a mesmerizing performance. However, tragedy strikes mid-performance when her partner accidentally steps on her foot, causing a severe fracture. Meanwhile, an American man receives a phone call in his apartment. Grabbing his gun, he leaves the apartment. He boards a train and goes to a park at night to meet a mysterious Russian man. A nearby patrolling police car suspects a drug deal and pursues them. Panicked, the American man creates a diversion by firing bullets into the ground. He then runs to the American embassy for safety. Inside the Russian intelligence agency headquarters, SVR, General Vladimir summons Vanya to review the previous night's drug-dealing incident at the park. Colonel Zakharov reveals that one suspect is Nate Nash, an American diplomat residing in Moscow on a diplomatic mission. However, that is just a facade, and his real identity is of a CIA operative. The identity of the second individual remains unknown. General Vladimir assigns Vanya the task of uncovering the informant's identity. At the embassy, Nate's superiors criticize him for jeopardizing his mission. They inform him that his cover has been blown and instruct him to return to Washington for questioning. He is ordered to board a flight the next morning. Dominika wakes up in the hospital after her surgery. Seeing the plaster on her leg and the metal rods supporting it, she breaks down, realizing her ballet career has ended. 3 months later, Dominika, now using a walking stick, receives a visit from her uncle, Vanya. He expresses his concerns to Dominika. He informs her that the theater has replaced her with another ballerina named Sonia. Vanya adds the company would reclaim the apartment and terminate her mother's medical coverage. Dominika, with no savings or backup plan, feels trapped. Vanya offers his help to Dominika, reminding her that he feels responsible for her as her sole living male relative. He suggests she visit him once fully recovered for a potential job. Before leaving, Vanya hands her an envelope with evidence, stating that her downfall was not purely by accident. Dominika learns her former partner and Sonia conspired to orchestrate her accident. Furious, Dominika heads to the theater and shadows her former partner and Sonia. She finds them in the women's locker room, engaged in a romantic affair. Enraged, she attacks them with her walking stick. She calls the police anonymously to report the injured pair and leaves. Returning home, Dominika discovers her mother, Nina, lying helpless on the bathroom floor. Dominika reassures her mother that she will take care of everything. The next day, Dominika meets Vanya and accepts the job he has mentioned. He tasks her with gaining the trust of Dmitry Ustinov, the gangster he introduced to her at the Bolshoi, and obtaining critical information for state security. Vanya believes Dmitry's interest in her makes her the ideal candidate. Though hesitant about the nature of the job, Dominika agrees after Vanya promises to reinstate her mother's medical coverage and secure their apartment if she succeeds. Vanya instructs Dominika to sleep with Dmitry at a hotel he frequently visits and replace his phone with a duplicate when an opportunity arises. Dominika follows his instructions. She goes to the hotel lobby, wearing a revealing dress. Dmitry approaches Dominika and invites her to his room. Inside his hotel room, Dmitry attempts to rape her while his men guard the door. An SVR operative sneaks into the room through the window and strangles Dmitry with a sharp string while he is on top of Dominika. The operative quickly takes Dominika out of the hotel and brings her to an interrogation room at SVR headquarters. Moments later, Vanya joins her, praising her performance on her first job. Furious, Dominika confronts him about deceiving her and forcing her into a situation she never would have agreed to. Vanya casually admits she wouldn't have accepted the offer had he disclosed the complete plan. He then presents her with an ultimatum: become an SVR operative or face execution for witnessing Dmitry's assassination. Meanwhile, Nate Nash faces an inquiry panel. He is indefinitely suspended from foreign assignments due to his mishandling of the mission in Moscow. Nate argues that the mission cannot proceed without him, as the Russian informant will only work with him. The panel dismisses his claims, insisting the mission is no longer his concern. Dominika visits her mother before beginning her training. She informs Nina that she will be away for some time and arranges for Lenny to care for her. Nina, suspicious of Vanya's intentions, warns Dominika once again about his manipulative nature. While respecting Dominika's decision, she advises her not to let Vanya gain complete control. Dominika joins State School 4 on Vanya's recommendation. Matron welcomes Dominika, giving her the new name Katia, and instructs her to leave her past behind, including her real name and credentials. The school specializes in training Sparrow's operatives skilled in using seduction as a weapon in global power struggles. The training begins with Matron explaining the program's mission, securing world peace by ensuring Russia's dominance amidst the Cold War with the West. The cadets, chosen for their beauty, strength, and vulnerability, are trained to identify and exploit their targets' weaknesses through seduction. Despite the program's grueling toll on her, Dominika excels in her training. Meanwhile, Nate proposes to be stationed in a country bordering Russia, stating Marble would reach out this way. The CIA agrees to Nate's proposal with one condition: initiate contact with Marble and convince the informant to work with a second CIA operative. The SVR receives intelligence about Nate's presence in Budapest, suspecting the CIA's attempt to re-establish contact with the mole within their rank. Vanya concludes that Nate is emotionally driven and deeply protective of his asset. He proposes deploying a Sparrow to exploit Nate's vulnerabilities and extract the information they need. General Vladimir visits State School 4 to evaluate Dominika's progress before officially assigning her to the mission. The general is impressed by her exceptional performance and approves her for the assignment in Budapest. Later, Dominika meets Vanya at a restaurant. Vanya outlines her role in the Budapest mission. Vanya provides her with a new identity, Katerina Zubkova, along with forged credentials and fake photographs of Nate. Dominika listens silently, takes the credentials without responding, and leaves the restaurant without a word. In Budapest, Dominika is housed with Marta, another Sparrow assigned to the mission. The local SVR station chief, Volontov Maxim, oversees the Sparrows in Budapest and is notorious for his lecherous behavior. Volontov provides her with intelligence the station has been collecting on Nate Nash, including his habits and frequent haunts. Dominika approaches Nate at a swimming pool. When Nate inquires about her background, she claims to work as a translator for the US Embassy and mentions having recently moved to Budapest. Nate introduces himself as a commercial counselor and invites her to dinner. Dominika, however, politely declines his offer while leaving a lingering impression. Nate is quick to identify that Dominika is a Russian spy in disguise. Later, at the CIA station quarters, Nate briefs his superiors on Dominika, whom he identifies as the Sparrow sent by the SVR. Through his investigation, he has uncovered her real identity. He speculates she might be part of the SVR's operation targeting Marble. Nate argues that Dominika could be a valuable lead and proposes an attempt to recruit her. While one officer dismisses the idea, the senior officer approves Nate's plan to pursue the lead. Dominika re-encounters Nate at an embassy event, and their conversation deepens. One thing leads to another, and they end up at Nate's apartment, where they build a personal connection. Dominika returns to her apartment early, ensuring she arrives before Marta. She searches Marta's room and discovers sensitive documents related to Marta's assignment. The files reveal that Marta is facilitating a deal between the SVR and a high-ranking Senate official who has agreed to work for the Russians. The meeting to finalize the arrangement is scheduled for the following week in London. Shortly afterward, Vanya visits Dominika to check on her progress. She tells him she is gaining Nate's trust and requests to assist Marta on the Swan project. Vanya gets skeptical about how Dominika has identified Marta's top-secret assignment, but agrees to her request. He grants her permission to join the Swan project. After Vanya's departure, Marta confronts Dominika about her secret during their heated argument. Dominika confesses her reason for involvement in the mission is to buy time to focus on her primary assignment. Sensing an opportunity to double-cross Dominika, Marta reveals her secret to Volontov, seizing the chance to eliminate her. Volontov reports the matter to his superiors in Moscow. Fortunately, when Vanya learns of the situation, he decides to punish Marta instead of Dominika. So, he dispatches his operative, Matarin, to assassinate Marta and threaten Dominika. Nate learns of the incident and introduces Dominika to his team. Nate urges Dominika to defect and work as a double agent, explaining the consequences of trusting her uncle and the SVR. He promises her safety, protection for her mother, and a chance for revenge against those who wronged her. Dominika agrees to defect. However, in return for information on the Swan operation, Dominika demands $30,000 to be transferred to a bank account she recently opened in Vienna. Dominika and Volontov travel to London to meet Swan, whose real name is Miss Boucher, the chief of staff for US Senator During the meeting, Dominica swaps the genuine package, which contains sensitive defense intelligence, with an identical duplicate. She later hands the original package to the CIA as part of her deal. Following the meeting, Boucher notices the CIA agents observing her. She panics and runs into a truck, meeting an unfortunate death. The SVR quickly realizes that their mission has been compromised. Suspicious of a mole, Dominica and Volontov are ordered to return to Moscow immediately. Nate, fearing for Dominica's safety, attempts to rescue her before she leaves the country. However, Dominica signals Nate to stop. Recognizing that escape is impossible, she resigns herself to face the consequences awaiting her in Moscow. Dominica and Volontov are tortured and interrogated by the SVR on suspicion of tipping off the CIA. Despite enduring extreme pain, Dominica denies any involvement. Volontov, however, is executed after failing to convince his interrogators. Days into her torture, Vanya personally interrogates Dominica, demanding she admit her betrayal. Dominica convinces Vanya of her loyalty, claiming that earning Nate's trust is key to uncovering the mole. Persuaded, Vanya convinces his superiors to let her continue the mission, but with a final warning. Upon arriving in Budapest, Dominica meets Nate and explains that the SVR released her because they believed her story about infiltrating the CIA. She pleads with Nate to relocate her and her mother to America, explaining that her life is at risk if the SVR discovers the truth. Later that night, Dominica wakes to find Maturin torturing Nate, trying to force him to reveal Marble's identity. Pretending to be Maturin's ally, she joins him. However, as soon as an opportunity arises, she strikes Maturin with a hammer and frees Nate. A violent knife fight ensues, leaving all three of them severely injured. Summoning her last reserves of strength, Dominica fatally stabs Maturin, ending the threat. Dominica regains consciousness in a hospital, where she meets General Vladimir, who reveals himself as Marble, the mole the SVR has been hunting. Vladimir explains his disdain for the corrupt system and figures like her uncle, Vanya. He offers Dominica a path to true freedom, to reveal his identity to the SVR, claim the title of national hero, and ultimately take his place as a mole. Seizing the opportunity for revenge, Dominica contacts Chief Zakharov and reveals Vanya as the mole instead of General Vladimir. She substantiates her claim with fabricated evidence she has been planting since arriving in Budapest. Nate's DNA in Vanya's house, a part of the missing Swan package in his office, and $250,000 deposited in an account under Vanya's name, implying it was CIA payment. Zakharov orders Vanya's arrest and arranges for him to be exchanged with the Americans. During the exchange, Vanya and Dominica cross paths one last time. Before Vanya can process his fate, an SVR sniper executes him. Dominica returns to Russia, where she is celebrated as a national hero and finally achieves her long-desired freedom. Back home, Dominica receives a mysterious call. The caller plays a song, the one she confided to Nate as her favorite.
Thank you all for your support. If you want to watch more content like this, like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments section, and I will see you next time. Stay curious.